Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girvaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girvaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Nitai Gaurchandra, Jaya Nitai Gaurchandra, Nitai Gaurchandra, Jaya Nitai Gaurchandra. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. शरणम संकीर्तन की ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय श्री गौरचंद्र भगवान की श्रील प्रभुपाद की ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु भागवतसेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिके कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna, we are reading from Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 12, entitled Birth of Emperor Parikshit, text number 17. Tasmān nāmnā viṣṇu-rāta iti loke bhaviṣyati na sandeho mahā-bhāga mahā-bhāgavato mahān tasmān nāmnā viṣṇu-rāta iti loke bhaviṣyati na sandeho mahā-bhāga mahā-bhāgavato mahān tasmān nāmnā viṣṇu-rāta iti loke bhaviṣyati na sandeho mahā-bhāga mahā-bhāgavato mahān tasmān nāmnā viṣṇu-rāta iti loke bhaviṣyati sandeho mahā-bhāga tasmān nāmnā viṣṇu-rāta iti loke bhaviṣyati na sandeho mahā-bhāga mahā-bhāgavato mahān tasmān nāmnā viṣṇu-rāta iti loke bhaviṣyati na sandeho mahā-bhāga mahā-bhāgavato mahān. Mataji. Tasmān nāmnā viṣṇu-rāta iti loke bhaviṣyati na sandeho mahā-bhāga mahā-bhāgavato mahān. Word to word meaning. Tasmāt, therefore, nāmnā, by the name, viṣṇu-rātaḥ, protected by Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. Iti, thus, loke, in all the planets, bhaviṣyati, shall become well known. Na, no, sandeha, doubts, mahā-bhāga, most fortunate, mahā-bhāgavatāḥ, the first class devotee of the Lord, mahān, qualified by all good qualities. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki translation. For this reason, this child will be well known in the world as one who is protected by personality of Godhead. O most fortunate one, there is no doubt that this child will become a first-class devotee and will be qualified with all good qualities. Purport. The Lord gives protection to all living beings because He is their supreme leader. The Vedic hymns confirm that the Lord is the supreme person amongst all personalities. The difference between the two living beings is that the one, the personality of Godhead, provides for all other living beings, and by knowing Him, one can achieve eternal peace. Kaṭha Upaniṣad. Such protection is given by His different potencies to different grades of living beings. But as far as His unalloyed devotees are concerned, He gives the protection personally. Therefore, Mahārāja Parīkṣit is protected from the very beginning of his appearance in the womb of his mother. And because he is especially given protection by the Lord, the indication must be concluded that the child would be a first grade devotee of the Lord with all good qualities. There are three grades of devotees, namely the mahā-bhāgavata, madhyama-adhikārī, and the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī. Those who go to the temples of the Lord and offer worshipful respect to the deity without sufficient knowledge in the theological science, and therefore without any respect for the devotees of the Lord, are called materialistic devotees or kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, the third grade devotees. Secondly, the devotees who have developed a mentality of genuine service to the Lord and who thus make friendships only with similar devotees, show favor to the neophytes and avoid the atheists, are called the second grade devotees. But those who see everything in the Lord or everything of the Lord and also see in everything an eternal relation of the Lord, so that there is nothing within their purview of sight except the Lord, are called the mahā-bhāgavatas or the first grade devotees of the Lord. Such first grade devotees of the Lord are perfect in all respects. A devotee who may be in any of these categories is automatically qualified by all good qualities, and thus a mahā-bhāgavata devotee like Mahārāja Parīkṣit is certainly perfect in all respects. And because Mahārāja Parīkṣit took his birth in the family of Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, he is addressed herein as the mahā-bhāgavata, or the greatest of the fortunates. The family in which a mahā-bhāgavata takes his birth is fortunate because, due to the birth of a first grade devotee, the members of the family, past, present, and future, up to 100 generations, become liberated by the grace of the Lord, out of respect for his beloved devotee. Therefore, the highest benefit is done to one's family simply by becoming an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paśyatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinataranam. So I'd like to welcome all of you for this Saturday morning Bhagavatam class. Before I begin to discuss anything on this verse, I would like to seek blessings of all the devotees, especially Gaur Leela Prabhu, Sri Ram Prabhu. I'm not qualified to sit and speak in front of them. I had a good fortune of hearing from Gaur Leela Prabhu almost every Friday for a year long while staying at Kunjibihari temple. So this brainstorming sessions we would have every Friday in yoga. So I beg your blessings before I begin to speak, so that I speak for purification of my heart and for the glorification of the Lord, and whatever I share, it pleases you. So this verse translation, this verse is in continuation of the previous one, where the Brahmanas, after Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj gave them abundant charity. So they said in the 16th verse, the spotless sun has been restored by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, in order to oblige you. He was saved when he was doomed to be destroyed by an irresistible supernatural weapon. For this reason, this child will be well known in the world as one who is protected by the personality of Godhead, a most fortunate one. There is no doubt that this child will become a first-class devotee and will be qualified with all good qualities. So, I was reading one pastime, glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, one of Srila Prabhupada's senior disciples, His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, he had such implicit faith in Bhagavatam that he had instructed his disciples when they were about to start raising funds for the temple in Rajkot. So he had said that have faith in Bhagavatam, no? And you don't have to beg anyone for funds. So that was one of his main instruction. So what they had done was they had found some small patch of land, and he had instructed that you sit here and recite, discuss Bhagavatam whole day long. And they continued to do that for many days. All the disciples, they stayed there and they continued to do that. There was one local devotee, a Gujarati devotee. This lady, she had become quite old, and she wanted to donate, whatever inheritance she had. She wanted to donate that for service of temple. So whom to donate? So she instructed her son that you go around the city and you try to find out if there is a group of devotees who are sitting and discussing Bhagavatam. So that was her instruction. And her son went around everywhere, and then he tried and found out at one place all the devotees were sitting, and every day they were reading Bhagavatam for hours together. And that's how they he told his mother that these are the group of devotees, and that's how the initial funding for the whole project came up. So that was his Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj's implicit faith in Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is non-different than Krishna. So here, this verse, this whole chapter is a discussion between Sutta Goswami and Shaunakadi Rishis, where Shonakadi Rishis, they have heard in detail about Shukdev Goswami, how he appeared. So I'll just brief about how Shukdev Goswami, glories of Shukdev Goswami. So this was their question, like they wanted to understand who this personality Parīkṣit Maharaj is, for whom Krishna personally entered into the womb, and even before his appearance, even before he could perform some devotional service, no, Lord appeared into the womb and he protected him. No. So what kind of personality this was, and in the next couple of verses, qualities of Parīkṣit Maharaj will be described. So they wanted to understand this, and that's why they asked this question to Sutta Goswami. And in return to the question, Sutta Goswami described the whole chapter on birth of Emperor Parīkṣit Maharaj. So they wanted to understand what were the qualities of Parīkṣit Maharaj, because of which he became qualified to receive Bhagavatam from a great soul like Shukdev Goswami. So now in the audience, while Shukdev Goswami was discussing, in the audience, all great souls like Vyasdev, who himself had taught Bhagavatam to Shukdev Goswami, Narad Muni and Vishwamitra Muni, Agastya Muni, many great souls were sitting there. And Shukdev Goswami, a 16-year-old boy, is sitting and he started to speak Bhagavatam. So we find Srila Prabhupada would also do that. The same thing is happening now also. Srila Prabhupada would tell his disciples to give Bhagavatam class, and he himself would sit in the class. So once when one of the disciples, he was giving class, and then he said, while discussing, he said, Krishna is present in his name. And Prabhupada interrupted and said, Krishna is not present in his name, Krishna is his name. So Krishna and his holy name are non-different. So it's not that Krishna has entered into his name and that's how the holy name becomes potent. His name is non-different than the personality Krishna. So when he was interrupted like this, so all other devotees became alert. So next time when anyone would give Bhagavatam or anyone would discuss in front of Prabhupada, they would become ultra cautious, what to speak, what not to speak, like that. So we find that Shukdev Goswami, he was not a seasoned Bhagavatam speaker, like he had been giving Bhagavatam classes before, and then he appeared into the place as a very renowned speaker, and then he started speaking Bhagavatam. We find the description that how he even appeared in the place. Like generally when we have a Bhagavat Saptah like that, we distribute flyers, we put up hoardings, we do some digital marketing about it, and people come to know through various platforms that such and such renowned speaker is going to come and he is going to speak Bhagavatam. Even before he appeared in the arena, the situation was some group of women, some children, less intelligent. They were following Shukdev Goswami, some were pelting stones at him, thinking him to be a mad person. That was the situation. And that is how his entry. Generally, when we welcome some speaker for Bhagavatam, we generally do Harinam Sankirtan, and then we garland him, we welcome him, and we bring him, and he sits on the Vyasas and he speaks. Here, Shukdev Goswami was a personality who was utterly humiliated, but he was indifferent to that situation, and then he appears into the arena. So generally speakers, when they speak, they either have an experience of speaking on the same topic in multiple places, or they know where to speak what kind of pastimes to add where, which point to link to next point, and that's how the flow of the whole the class. But here he was speaking for the first time. He hadn't spoken before like that. So an ordinary person, if you would have seen the assembly of devotees sitting there, like all these great souls like Vyasdev or Narad Muni or Agastya Muni, he would say that he would think that all these people They themselves can start a sampradaya. No? That was their exalted position. Like even Vyasdev, he happens to be one of the acharyas in Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. But they unanimously chose Shukdev Goswami as the speaker of Bhagavatam. No? And Vyasdev, like when the Parīkṣit Maharaj asked question, started asking questions like, I have been cursed for 7 days and what is the best resolve? So while they were discussing, Vyasdev decided Shukdev Goswami to be the speaker of Bhagavatam. Now he's making Shukdev Goswami sit on the Vyasasan, which is his original place. So the Vyasasan is a representation of the Vyasdev. Like that. And the setup is Shukdev Goswami is sitting naked in front of everyone. Imagine if the speaker sits naked in front of us, we won't be able to. But all these sages could see position of Shukdev Goswami, how exalted he was in his level of Krishna consciousness, and that's how they appreciated his position, and all of them heard from him. So Shukdev Goswami happens to speak this specifically to Parīkṣit Maharaj, and all others took benefit of it. Like all the questions and all the inquiries were Parīkṣit Maharaj's, and Shukdev Goswami happened to address all this. So the situation was like one devotee, when he joined Brahmacharya ashram, and then he went back to his native place, and all the devotees in his town gathered, and then all the people in his town who knew him gathered, and they asked him to please discuss something on some spiritual subject matter we would like to hear. And then all of them sat. And then suddenly one of his school teachers came, and he also sat there. And they all heard from him. So he asked his teacher to speak first. Now this teacher happened to be a spiritual teacher as well, from Sri Sampradaya. So he had taught him ABCD, everything, and then he would also give him spiritual knowledge. So when he asked him to speak, he said, no, you speak first, and then I'll add in the end if required. So when this devotee, he gave a discourse, and all the people, they were mesmerized with what he had to share. And after the class was over, everyone was appreciating him. And then he asked his teacher to speak. And this teacher, he came over, and he was so elated by hearing from his. It's like for him, this is my student. That is. So he was telling that till now my identity was I am teacher of all the students. Other students were also sitting. I am teacher of all the students. But today, after seeing his exalted position, how nice devotee he has become, my identification is the teacher of a renowned devotee from ISKCON. So my identity has changed now. I am no more his school teacher. I am teacher of someone who has become such a great devotee of Krishna, like that. So same way here Vyasdev, he taught Bhagavatam to Shukdev Goswami, but instead of he sitting on the Vyasasan, he is requesting, or they unanimously decided Shukdev Goswami to sit and speak. So Shukdev Goswami, as we know, during his birth, he was not ready to come out of the womb of his mother, and Vyasdev was requesting him. So such amazing technology in the Vedic times. Like now we have ultrasound technology, and many other technologies by which we can understand the situation of the embryo or the gender of the embryo and all that stuff. But then Vyasdev, he was actually having a conversation with Shukdev Goswami. 16-year-old Shukdev Goswami was in the womb of his mother, and he is requesting him, please come out. And Shukdev Goswami is not ready to come out. The experience of being in the womb of the mother was so horrifying that he felt, if I come out in the material world, how much more pathetic the situation would be. And that's why he didn't want to come out. Like we hear in this song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhuliya Tomare Samsare Asiya, there it says that when the child is in the womb, it is praying to Supreme Lord, no, please let me out and of this horrible situation, and I'll serve you after I come out. When next line he writes that as soon as the child comes out, he forgets all the prayers that he offered, and then he falls into the trap of no, love and affection of his parents, and then his high education and the money that he earns. He gets trapped by all this, and he just forgets that the prayers that he offered in the womb to the Supreme Lord to let him out of that situation. So Vyasdev, he literally had to invite Krishna from Dwarka to ask Shukadeva Goswami to come out, without which he would not. So when Lord Krishna requested him to come out, and that's where he had faith. Now Krishna is inviting, so I can, I would be safe, so I can come out. And of course, even after coming out, he didn't stay back. He immediately started walking into the forest. And then Vyasdev had to run behind him. He was chasing him to get him back home. So after he tried his part, he requested some of his disciples to go to the place where Shukadeva Goswami was and start to recite verses from Bhagavatam. So one of the verses when they recited of how Krishna is such a merciful personality. Aho Bhakyam Stanakalakutam Jigam Seya Apyasadvi. Sharnam. Yeah. So Kamva Dayalu Sharnam Rajama. How merciful the Supreme Lord is that even a person who came to kill him, he delivered her and gave her the position of mother in the spiritual world. So by hearing this compassion of Supreme Lord or his merciful nature, Shukadeva Goswami immediately got attracted. Is there a personality like this who exists? And then he went to the students and he asked, where did he learn all this from? And then they mentioned, your father is the teacher. And that's where he, just to learn about Supreme Lord Krishna, he goes back home and then studies Bhagavatam under his father. So this same personality, Shukadeva Goswami, happens to be the addresser of questions by Parīkṣit Maharaj. So the Shaunakadi Rishis, they had heard about Shukadeva Goswami in detail, and then they wanted to understand about Parīkṣit Maharaj, and that's where this whole discussion begins. So again, Sutta Goswami, while he's speaking all these glories, he's speaking to an assembly of almost 88,000 sages sitting together. There was no publicity again. There was nowhere there was a mention, but all of them gathered together to hear glories of Supreme Lord. So what's so glorious about birth of Parīkṣit Maharaj? Prabhupada mentions in this purport. Like if we have to describe our birth, it could be described in two lines. The date and the time when we were born, and then maybe he went on to become a XYZ engineer or a doctor or something like that. Or Lochandas Thakur describes it in much better way in this song, Akaroda Paramananda Nityananda. He says, if one has not developed attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, such sinners have just come and gone. Just like the wind comes and goes. Like that, it describes the birth and death of such people is of that significance. They just come and go like that. But here, Prabhupada describes Parīkṣit Maharaj as mahā-bhāgavata or mahān. The most amazing thing is even before his birth, just like in Prithu Maharaja's case, we see even before he has started to perform his feats, or he has started to do his glorious activities, even before that all his glorification is done. Like that here for Parikshit Maharaj also, he's being described by the Brahmanas as a very fortunate soul and is very great, like that. And before his birth, he got his name because Lord Krishna protected him. So he's called as viṣṇu-rāta, one who was protected by Lord Vishnu in the womb. So further in the purport, Prabhupada is describing three levels of devotees. Of course, there is detailed description of the same by Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Instruction, verse number 5 and 6. So here Prabhupada briefly mentions the three levels of devotees, where he describes Parikshit Maharaj as mahā-bhāgavato or uttamā-adhikārī. So we have three levels of devotees: kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, madhyama-adhikārī, and a mahā-bhāgavata devotee of the Lord. So kaniṣṭha-adhikārī is one whose nishtha is not yet fixed up on devotees of the Lord. His dealings are directly with the Lord. He may perform deity worship, he may offer bhoga to the Lord, he may do all those activities in connection to the deity form of the Lord. But his understanding of glories of devotees as paraphernalia of the Lord has not yet matured, or he is not able to connect devotees as major paraphernalia or one of the prime paraphernalia of the Lord, like that. So he respects Lord, but he isn't able to develop respect for devotees of the Lord. So that's a kaniṣṭha-adhikārī. Madhyama-adhikārī is one who does four things: prema, maitri, kripa, upeksha. So he develops love for the Supreme Lord, or is in the process of developing love for Supreme Lord. He develops friendship with devotees of the Lord. Then he shows compassion by preaching to those who are innocent and wanting to understand about Krishna or the goal of life. And he keeps distance, upeksha, of those who are envious of Lord. Because if he tries to preach to such a class of people, then they would either become more averse, or by blaspheming devotees or by blaspheming Lord, they may further go away from their hope of somewhere connecting to Krishna or coming to Krishna consciousness. Uttama-adhikārī is one who sees every living entity in a much better position than himself. So, and that's why he cannot preach, because he sees anyone who is even in a fallen state as much better than him. And that's why someone who is a Uttama-adhikārī comes from the platform of Uttama-adhikārī down to the platform of madhyama-adhikārī, so that he can preach. Like someone like Prabhupada, who is a mahā-bhāgavata devotee. Now he can actually see all living entities in their exalted position, but because he has to show his compassion and make them Krishna conscious, so that's where he comes down to the level of a madhyama-adhikārī, and he preaches and connects them to Krishna. So here Prabhupada, while referring to kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, is speaking, he's calling them materialistic devotees. That's a bit of a heavy term. Like even they are devotees because they are devoted to Krishna, but then he calls them materialistic devotees. Like we know this example of when this devotee, he came to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur asked his servant to ask him, like, who is he? And then his description of himself was, I am devotee of Krishna. So many times we may, someone who has spent few years in Krishna consciousness may say, I am devotee of Krishna, like that. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told his servant that he can tell him that he can come later. And this person, he happened to come a couple of times. And then finally he barged in and he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he said, no, why couldn't you make time to meet me? No. You are also devotee of Krishna. I am also devotee of Krishna. No. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, I don't have time for devotees of Krishna. No. I am able to give time to those who are devotees of Krishna. No. So, and see from this example that how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur recognized those who are able to see devotees in connection to Krishna, no, and not directly deal with the Lord, no, as I being, no, quote unquote called as devotee of Krishna, like that. So if we know, like Radhanath Swami Maharaj many times mentions, no, servant of no, Krishna. And Kulashekar Maharaj again in his prayers, no, 7 times he mentions, no, Tad Bhritya Bhritya. So he's telling that his aspiration is to become servant of 7 times, no, servant of Krishna, like that. So other pastime is Ramanujacharya, when he had sent his disciples to when he had sent a group of his disciples to 2 of his disciples, Yagyesh and Varadacharya. So one of them happened to be a very poor devotee by his material status, and the other one was very rich. So when this disciples they went, so this devotee who was materially well-to-do, they went and they told that Ramanujacharya is coming, and this devotee said, okay, I'll make all the arrangements. No, my spiritual master is coming. So they said fine, and then they went back, and then they went to this other devotee, Varadacharya, who was not so well-to-do materially. He was poor. But as soon as these disciples came, he treated them well. He could offer them whatever he had to. And after everything was done, then they conveyed the message that Sripad Ramanujacharya is here in the town and he wants to visit here. So he said, fine, I'll do the necessary arrangements. So when these disciples went back to Ramanujacharya, he asked, so what happened? And then they told. So Ramanujacharya decided to go to this devotee, Varadacharya. So this pastime goes to show, like, he appreciated that his disciples understand the value of devotees, and one of the very important principle of one of the important principles in Sri Sampradaya is Vaishnava Seva. That's one principle which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took up from Sri Sampradaya. So madhyama-adhikārī, his consciousness is elevated to a platform where he is able to see connection of devotees to Krishna. Like we may take nice care of the deities, but at the same time we need to take nice care of the paraphernalia of the Lord. Like we are making garlands or we are making bhoga for the Lord, so we take care of all the necessary cleanliness standards, and even while handling sacred items which are being offered to the Lord, how carefully we handle them. Because he is able to see that all this paraphernalia in connection to the Lord, he is able to appreciate their sanctity. And moreover, as Prabhupada mentioned, devotee is the most important paraphernalia of the Lord. When we please the devotees, Lord is easily pleased. And on the other hand, when we hurt them, Lord is disgusted with the devotee. In one of the lectures, Radhanath Swami Maharaj mentions that If we continue to hurt a devotee or offend a devotee, no, and we don't get any reactions for that, no, getting reactions is a sign that no, at least Krishna is reciprocating by punishing me. But if he's not even punishing us, then he's so disgusted that we aren't even getting reactions. So it's going to come in, no, bulk, or we'll be bereft of mercy of Krishna altogether. No, like that. So the kaniṣṭha devotee is not able to increase his consciousness beyond the altar, no, of the Lord. So he's not able to relate to devotees of the Lord and respect them and deal with them, no, while the way he deals with the Lord, like that. So even to the extent that someone who visits this place, like we see this example of how Ghanshyam Baba, how he would treat Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He would call him your, very graphically, he says, you are a guest of Gopijan Vallabha, and I am their servant. So he didn't see that this is a Westerner, and he has no idea about devotional service, no clue, or other those who are caste Brahmins, or they would call it, they would refer to him as a Malecha or a Yavana, rather, like that. But he was able to see his connection to Krishna and appreciate his devotion, and that's how he would deal. And this is the way he would deal with anyone who would come to take darshan of. There would hardly people who would know about the place, and they would come. But Maharaj would go regularly because he saw the level of devotion, and he was able to experience the reciprocation of the Lord through dealings of Ghanshyam Baba. So same way, anyone who even visits this place, he cannot be an ordinary person, no, because after millions of lifetimes, he has been inspired by Paramatma to come to this place. So our dealings with that person will decide his fate. No, if he is dealt well, if he is welcomed, he would feel like coming back again, and then that service process of bhakti would begin. But if he is not welcomed and no one attends to that person, he will just come, take darshan and go, and he will never be able to connect to the devotees. Right. So when we become great devotees like Parīkṣit Maharaj, by practicing devotional service, then we would also have the good fortune of being called viṣṇu-rāta, one who has got protection of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu. So in our sadhana bhakti, our practice of Krishna consciousness should help us to elevate our consciousness with our daily practice. So I'll just cover last few points. So generally, our understanding, we could understand our advancement or elevation in our practice of sadhana bhakti in material terms. This might sound a bit funny, like someone who may say, when I came to Krishna consciousness, my age was my weight was 60 kgs, and now after a year of staying in association of devotees, honoring prasad, now it has become 80 kgs. Ghee, milk, all, paneer, so all glories to prasad. So many other parameters like this, like previously I would not speak in front of such a crowd. In school and all, when we are told to come on stage and speak something, or if you are to give a speech on Independence Day or like that, it's very difficult and it's challenging. But now I can sit and speak in front of a crowd of hundreds or thousands, like that. So one may think, now I've become a nice preacher or a speaker or an orator, or I can counsel people now. Now I can guide them how to manage their lifestyle. So I can term myself as a life coach or a lifestyle management coach. No. Then Sanskrit shloka recitation. No. The way Prabhupada has presented all of his books, no, even a person, even a person who has never had any understanding of Sanskrit can learn Sanskrit to some extent. He may not become an expert, no, like those who spend 12 years and learn, no, in Snatakas, but he could understand Sanskrit well even by going through Prabhupada books, like that. Other example is someone may think I can sing now, no, and hundreds of people dance behind me when I sing. No. Some time back, my glory was only till the bathroom, where I was a bathroom singer. No. But now when I sing, devotees dance in ecstasy. No. So is it because of me singing holy names and the ecstasy transferring to all others and they are dancing in ecstasy, or no, what exactly? So there could be so many external parameters based on which we could term someone or term ourselves as being advanced in our Krishna consciousness. No? But all these happen to be very superficial platform of understanding or judging ourselves that I've advanced in my Krishna consciousness. No? So these are all external feats that one can achieve while being engaged in service of the Lord, because we have got skill sets, no? We have got different talents, and Prabhupada mercifully has made a facility where all those talents could be engaged. But that does not become all in all a parameter for understanding someone's advancement in Krishna consciousness. No? No. Just like we have different kala kendras, no? Something for learning dance or something for learning painting or music. No. So one would only remain on the platform of becoming a member of such kala kendra or no, a kalakar, no, a performer. No. But the devotion can be questioned. So how much we are able to see Krishna and connect everything that we do in connection to Supreme Lord, that would define our path towards Krishna, or our advancement on the path of bhakti, like that. Like in reference to Radharani, no, she has called as Krishna Mai. No. So it's not that because Krishna considers her as his topmost devotee, no, she also considers the same. No, she connects everyone to Krishna, and that's how she sees that every living entity is a part and parcel of Krishna and can be connected back to Krishna. No, like that. So that's her glory. No. So unless we do not bring a change in our internal consciousness, we might remain a performer in the external sense. And that's why from this purport, the point that we are able to respect devotees and deal with them as the most important paraphernalia of the Lord defines our way to advancement on the path of bhakti. One last point here. Prabhupada mentions very specifically, the family in which a mahā-bhāgavato takes his birth is fortunate because due to the birth of a first-grade devotee, the members of the family, past, present and future, up to 100 generations, become liberated by the grace of the Lord out of respect for his beloved devotee. So, in the example of Dhruva Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj was concerned about his mother. And then while he was sitting in his Vaikuntha plane, he saw that his mother was already being taken care of. No? So she, just because of her instruction that he goes and serves Supreme Lord, and because of his love and affection for his mother, no, her liberation or her way back to spiritual world was taken care of. No. Therefore, the highest benefit is done to one's family simply by becoming an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. So, our responsibility as sadhakas is to practice our bhakti process sincerely, and that's how all those who are connected to us can get benefited. Like many a times, many of our relatives or parents or many closed ones, obviously, without any doubt, get hurted, no? Because we are leaving so many things and they are highly concerned as our guardians, and we literally hurt them emotionally. Sometimes we may speak so many things and hurt them, and with our behavior and our actions, we boldly preach, no? How immature we could be. So, because we have caused such immense pain to them, especially like someone who joins ashram, it becomes all the more difficult for the parents to bear the pain. So, because we are responsible for the pain caused to them, our practice of bhakti should be so sincere that we are able to mitigate that pain by our connection to Krishna, and Krishna alleviating all their pain and suffering because of, no, we coming to the path of Krishna consciousness. So, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.